This is CNN.
From the CNN Center in Atlanta, it's TalkBack Live with Susan Rook.
Are you underpaid and overworked? Are you spending way too much time with your boss and not near enough time with your family? Are you working to live or living to work? If you're ready to sound off, stick around to TalkBack. Labor Day, and most folks have the day off. If it is your first time joining us because you normally have to work this time of day, we certainly appreciate you being here today. This, after all, is your chance to talk back. You can call us, fax us, you can go online with CompuServe. Today's topic, you and all of us, the American workforce. Are we all working way too hard? Do you like your job? Is it something, I mean, it takes up an awful lot of time. You know, do you like it? Pam?
Yes, I like my job.
Pam likes her job. Brian, you're from Savannah. Do you like your job?
Yes.
Karen, do you like your job?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am? I'm not that old, but I'm getting older rapidly. Dan?
For the most part, yes.
For the most part? Okay. Now, you know, right before the show started, we sat there, I talked to people and I said, so do y'all like your job? And everyone put the microphone in front of their face. Oh, yes, I think it's just wonderful. I'm blessed to have it. And then I asked people, so if you won the lottery and $5 million dropped in your lap, would you go into work, Brian?
Probably not.
Pam?
Yes, I would.
You would? What do you do?
I'm an occupational health nurse for Comm Hospital.
And you go into work? Full-time or part-time?
Time.
Brian, would you still go into work?
For now, yes.
Like how long? Till lunch?
Nah, I'd have to wait and see.
Yeah, what do you do?
I just started work. I work for an accounting firm.
I don't even balance my checkbook. I definitely wouldn't do what you do. But I really think that a lot of you are kind of in the minority because there's an awful lot of Americans that feel really ambivalent about their jobs. Let's take a look.
How many hours do you work?
About anywhere from like 45 to 50 hours a week.
About 60.
40
Is
in a
that
day.
40 hours a week, 8 hours a day.
Over 50.
over 50? Is that too much?
Yes.
The answer is yes, according to a 1992 study published by the Economic Policy Institute, a liberal learning think tank. U.S. workers get shorter vacations than Europeans.
I'm European, and we get a lot more over there. So I think 2 weeks is the American way, but I don't really think it's enough.
A 1993 independent survey finds 84% of U.S. businesses provide 2 weeks vacation after 1 year of service.
What do they say? If you can be gone for more than 2 weeks, they don't need you. So maybe that's true.
By law, French workers get 5 weeks vacation. EPI research shows full-time U.S. workers on average are working 138 hours more a year than they were 25 years ago. So what about that vacation time? 2 weeks, 5 weeks? Lisa, San Francisco. You've got an awful lot of opportunities out in San Francisco to go and play. Would you like to have 5 weeks off?
I have been. I've been unemployed for 2 months.
Oh, okay. So
I'm ready to go to work.
So that's not exactly off time for you. I mean,
No,
you've
it's
been
not
working
off time.
on finding a job,
I've been
right?
looking for a while, yeah.
Yeah? Well, maybe our next guest could give you and other people who are unemployed or who are looking at changing jobs, moving up, lateral move, protecting themselves from this workforce. Tom Peters joins us by phone. Tom is a world-renowned management consultant. He's also a top-selling author of all kinds of books about the workplace. His latest book is called Crazy Times Call for Crazy Organizations. Tom, welcome.
My pleasure to be with you on Labor Day.
Yes, you're laboring too, and we certainly appreciate
Right.
it. Tom, I just met Lisa from San Francisco and asked her if she wanted 5 weeks vacation, and she said, well, unfortunately, I've got the vacation. I'm unemployed. Lisa, talk to Tom and see if you can pick his brain. I mean, this man is absolutely brilliant. What do you want to ask him? He charges tons of money for this. We're getting it for free.
How do I go about getting a job? A different job, one that I can live to work for, instead of working to live. Which is what I've been doing.
Anybody who would give the 20-second answer to that question would be a total idiot, and so I won't do that. What I would simply suggest to you is if there's something that you really get turned on about, something that's always been a hobby, see if you can turn that into something commercial. You know, there's a wonderful set of folks around San Francisco called the Briar Patch Cooperative that work with a lot of people who become one-person independent businesses, and I don't want to sound like the tooth fairy, but I think if you're willing to really hustle like the devil and are willing to start out on slave wages, that it's possible to turn stuff that turns you on into work. We don't always have to think about Wells Fargo Bank or Levi Strauss when we think about what it means to have a job.
Hey, great idea.
Thank you.
Now, Lisa, if you get a job, I want you to call us and tell us, and we'll pass it on to Tom. Now, Vicki, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. But I'll apologize in advance. I'm still going to do it. Before the show, you raised your hand when the question was asked, do you like your job? And you were one of the few people in the audience who was like honest enough to say, no, I don't think so. What do you want to ask Tom Peters?
Well,
If you
I'm
don't
kinda
like what you
Lisa,
know.
and I'm on vacation too. But what I do is a surgical technologist. I like the job. I like the work. I don't like the competition. I don't like the stress. I don't like the things that go on in the workplace. That's what I don't like.
Now, Tom, Vicki brings up a point that a lot of people feel like. The whole issue of competition, and it seems like the workforce has gotten so much more competitive because of downsizing in companies. Have you found that people are really feeling pressure to make it work?
I think there's no question about that, Susan. I think that, I was thinking about it when Labor Day comes along. One of the other things that we tend to see around the United States are the bumper stickers that go back on the cars that say, slow down, kids are in the streets going to school. And that's terrific. But I think the real key in the future for American workers in sophisticated or unsophisticated jobs is all of us are going to have to go back to school on the 1st of September. This really is a phenomenally competitive global marketplace, and in today's world, if you're not getting smarter, you're getting dumber. And so for anybody in your audience or anybody who's watching us, if you haven't got a community college course penciled in for the next 4 months, I think you're making a real mistake.
But Tom, doesn't that mean you go to work, you work 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week, then you go to class? I mean, I'm working towards my doctorate, so I certainly agree with you, but you look and you say, wait a minute, even though you're furthering yourself, the amount of time that you work or spend at work or spend towards work just keeps expanding.
Yeah, there is no question. I think, however, as you said when you opened this thing up, Susan, that you look all around you and you watch people being laid off, and you watch the jobs going overseas. You watch jobs going from expensive places like New Jersey or New York or Atlanta to North Dakota or where have you. And if you want to live where you're living, and most of us in the United States are living in pretty expensive urban areas, then we really have no choice except to constantly work on skill building.
Tom, I want you to stay around. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll still be talking to Tom Peters, but we will also meet a woman who's taking to the airwaves in support of working moms. Bet y'all have something to say about that. Stand by to talk back.
TalkBack Live is brought to you by Network MCI Business. Install it in your office today.
Hi, I'm Jed Longhurst with MCI, and because I joined Friends and Family too, I can show you how easily it works for me. I save 20% on calls to anyone I choose, no matter which long-distance company they're with. For example, Jack, my brother-in-law, he's still with AT&T. But watch closely because Jack may switch to MCI's Friends and Family too. He'll do it if he's smart, which he's not. But if he does, I'll save 40% when I call him, and even though he doesn't deserve it, he'll save 40% when he calls me.
Holy... Are you really?
When you win the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes,
Right there.
wherever you are, we'll find you.
Here, the prize patrol.
You found me. Oh my gosh, no way.
We've surprised winners all across the country. From Maine to California, even Alaska. We're the Prize Patrol from Publishers Clearinghouse, and we hope to find you next.
I run a small business. Wilderness Air in Kodiak, Alaska. We provide some of the best salmon fishing in the world.
One of the things that Pete likes about my mailbox, etc., is the fact that we provide copy service, packaging and shipping.
I'm not in the shipping business. I'm in the adventure business.
And it's particularly mailbox services.
John, check my mailbox. Is that prop in yet?
If he's not flying, he's not making money.
I've brought John 60, 65-pound king salmon.
They're more like this.
No, they're this thick.
Depend on mailboxes, etc. It's not what we do, it's how we do it.
People are discovering something highly irregular.
That's odd.
What is it, Mark Wrong?
I don't know.
About the price of Metamucil. Same effective natural fiber for regularity at a surprisingly lower price.
Let's get two.
Yeah.
Metamucil, the natural choice for regularity.
In the next hour, the world's population will grow by 10,000, doubling to 11 billion in the next 40 years. As world leaders meet to seek solutions, CNN looks beyond the numbers. All this week on CNN.
This, I think, is a very appropriate time to bring in this fax from Ray in Virginia. He says, I'm a merchant marine for the U.S. Navy, and I would say I am an overworked American. It's not that we work any harder than someone doing the same job ashore. We just can't go home at night from the middle of the Atlantic. Not only is Ray very perceptive, but I want to ask Tom Peters, all of this, do you think Americans are just prone to belly aching about work?
I think all of us are prone to belly aching about work. Americans, Japanese, Germans, you name it. I mean, as you said at the opening, the Europeans are working a lot less than we are. The Japanese and the Malaysians are working an awful lot more than we are. It's probably as old as time to complain about the amount of time you work. And relative to our merchant marine pal, I was in the Navy for 4 years too, so I understand what it means not to be able to go home at night.
Mm-hmm. Tom, when I said that, Corinna, she busted out laughing. So you think some people are just kind of belly aching about all this and they should just...
I'm from England, and lives are much harder there, and you have to work much harder for the pound or for the penny or for the dollar. And everything that you get is much more appreciated. Now, I live here, so I'm not just saying this off of the top of my head. Mm-hmm. People here don't appreciate what they have. They don't appreciate the lifestyle that they have, and they don't appreciate the opportunities that they have. So, yes, I think, I'm sorry, America, but you bellyache. Much too much.
I think we deserve that.
How many people in our audience agree? I mean, Corinna says, hey, you just don't appreciate what you have. Dolly?
I think it depends on the individual and their personal circumstances, because I'm a person that works very hard, and regardless of how hard I'm working, I'm not able to get the things that I really want. So
what do you want that you're not able to get?
Just I won't say materialistic things, but just common things that people want. A lot of jobs are underpaying. They don't pay very well, so it depends on the individual, it depends on their credentials, and it depends on the credentials that they are allowed to access in America.
I don't think Corinna's buying that.
I just think that the standard of living here, what you the way that you live and that you live on a daily basis, we would call luxury in England. We don't have dishwashers. We don't.
How do you survive?
We use good old hands, and it's just that what has become a normal way of living here, what you expect to have here, you know, a dishwasher, disposal, you expect that, so you want a job that will pay for that. Whereas in England, to me, that would be like luxury, high living.
You know, Susan, there's another interesting kind of point that I once read, or a survey that I read recently, that said the amount of money that people want to have in the bank is precisely twice as much as they have in the bank. And that's true for people who have $10,000 in the bank, who think that heaven on earth would be $20,000 in the bank. And in the same way, this survey goes on to say the people who have $20 million in the bank feel insecure and feel that life would be perfect if they had $40 million in the bank. So I'm not sure it ever gets better.
Isn't that always the case? I mean, no matter what you have, you always want just a little bit more.
Yeah. Can I add one other thing, Susan?
Sure.
I was working on I sometimes, dare I say it, on CNN, I sometimes do public television shows, and was working on one recently, and we were doing a segment on Southwest Airlines. And, you know, we started out in the beginning with people who were gloomy and people who were happy, and an awful lot of flight attendants, for those of you who fly somewhere, are sort of gloomy, and it's sort of tough to get through the flight, or so it seems to be. Southwest Airlines has got a fabulous attitude. They hire people for sense of humor. They let people be themselves. And one thing I really feel, and I've had all of the world's crummy jobs when I was a kid. I have washed dishes in restaurants. I've gotten up at 5 in the morning to serve breakfast. Any job, and I'm not trying to say that some people don't make much money and it would be better if they made more. Any job you can turn into a real winner. You
and
can
yet,
kind of
Tom,
be the
you know,
Leonardo
I keep
da Vinci
coming
of housekeepers or whatever.
Right. Tom, I keep coming back to that balance of work and home, because it's really hard to keep your sense of humor at work when you're just having a really tough time at home. Say, because things are pulling you in 1,000 directions, especially as parents often feel as they're trying to provide that delicate balance between family life and work life. I want to bring our next guest into the forum. She's joining us from New York. She is the host of her own weekly radio show called Working Mom on the Run. It's syndicated and runs on 85 stations nationwide. She talks to working parents and every day hears about the trials and just the craziness of working and also raising a family. Debbie Nagro joins us. Debbie, I'm curious, what is the most common complaint that you hear from working parents?
They're tired.
Oh, I know that feeling. I don't have kids, but my grandmother lives with me. She has Alzheimer's, so I count myself as a working mom.
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to you and tell you how flattered I am to be on the show. I'm a big fan. It's nice to see all of you.
We'll
for the
send
first
her a
time
check
ever.
for that.
And I'm sitting here and I thought, and because there was a little time delay in me speaking and me hearing you, you'll have to forgive me, I'll get the hang of it. But I thought I'd bring along a t-shirt, which it tells the name of the show that I do and have created, and it's called The Working Mom on the Run, and the real name of the show is What the Heck Happened to My Life?
How many people in our audience feel like asking that question? Anybody back here? What the heck happened to your life? What happened to yours?
Well, I couldn't agree with what she just said. And I am a working mother, but I work part-time, and I think that's the answer.
Do you think that's part of the issue, the difference between full-time and part-time, Debbie?
Oh, well, I think everybody makes their own choice, Susan, and I say this with much humor behind it. I'm very loving of my daughter and very thrilled to be doing something for a living that I like to do. I just think that working parents, and particularly working mothers, and most women in America will agree with me, have a whole lot on their plate that extends beyond the work where you go, whether it's home or outside the home. And it's just an enormous responsibility to keep track of everything that goes on every single day in everybody's lives. So it's, you know, the constant remembering of what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And it's list after list and mental lists and written notes. And that's what I meant by what the heck happened in my life. And at any given point, something is going to fall off.
So what happens when your plate runneth over? We'll talk about that and other issues for folks who are working right after this break.
prepared a delicious meal. It's a shrimp and fish meal from Long John Silver's. 3 tasty battered dip shrimp and their famous fish. My Selfinator. And I brought you this game card. Known for winning a fun-filled sojourn of unparalleled proportions. You scratch, I'll hold. Hey, there's 3 of me. There's only one of you, Sweetie Pooh.
The Little Rascals, now playing at theaters and along John Silver's near you.
For the next 15 seconds, try to forget that more people choose quality Eckert photo processing. Instead, try to figure out why so few people trust their pictures to all those other places. Eckert's buyback photo processing guarantee means you'll never have to pay for photos you don't like. Unless, of course, you make the mistake of taking your film someplace else.
Hi, I'm Jim Palmer. If you haven't refinanced your home yet, it's not too late. Before rates go any higher, call the Money Store. You can still save money by refinancing your first mortgage at the Money Store, even if your credit isn't perfect. You can apply by phone, there's no application fee, and usually get some extra cash. Remember, there's still time to refinance even if your credit isn't perfect. But don't wait. Everyone believes rates are going up. Call the Money Store at 1-800-LOAN-YES.
Back in my day, there were 2 kinds of shoes, right and left.
Times have changed, but at Marshall's, the prices haven't. Buy any pair of shoes, get a second pair half off, and that's half off our already nostalgically low prices on a huge selection of popular name brand shoes for men, women, and kids. So don't drag your feet. Hurry into Marshall's for today's fashions at yesterday's prices. Marshall's.
I'm a lawyer, and I love it because it's a laugh a minute. I'm just running all the time. I work for myself. I have a line of designer catnip toys that I make called Molly Cats, Philippus with panache. And what I like the best about it is the fact that I work for myself.
I'm an executive recruiter. I've been doing it for 37 years. And I like the people interaction more than anything else.
Tom, we've got a question for you from Dennis Tarwood from Illinois. He's writing to us via CompuServe, and he wants to know, why are there more service jobs and fewer manufacturing and other skilled jobs? What do you have to say to Dennis?
Well, basically, if you go back 100 years, there were 65% of us on the farm. Most of us were skinny. Now there are about 2% of us on the farm, and most of us are overweight. And I say that because that's what's happening to manufacturing. There is as much manufacturing in the United States, amazingly enough, as there ever was, just like there is more produce coming off the farms than ever. But it simply doesn't take the same number of people in the factory itself to get those jobs done anymore. We have automated and used these kinds of machines and that. We're even doing it in places like McDonald's right now. And so the number of human beings required to make an automobile or turn out a ton of steel is just dramatically less than was the case in the past. The good news is we're making more advertisements and movies and doing all kinds of service tasks.
Tom, we've got a caller from Georgia who wants to ask you a question. Go ahead.
Basically, I wanted to address Mr. Peters' point that an education makes one more competitive in the job market. I'm 26 years old, and I have a master's degree in political science, and I've been looking for a job for about a year. I was in a job working for a nonprofit, making $6 an hour. I wasn't offered health benefits, and basically the bosses, the managers, were baby boomers with, some or very little education who are never going to leave their jobs, and
Tom, what about that? The issue of how much education is enough?
Well,
I mean, when my grandmother graduated from high school, a high school diploma was the ultimate.
Yeah, there are two questions. The question is how much is enough and what kind is enough. If I were czar, and nobody's made me that offer lately, people with English degrees and political science degrees would be getting a lot of jobs that tend to be going to MBAs today. But the sad fact is that sort of America is kind of credential happy, and they want the the so-called professional certificate. One thing I would say to our good friend with the political science advanced degree is maybe the key, and we saw it at the beginning of this segment when people were talking about their one-person shows and so on. Look for the small company that has something to offer that you can really fit into, and don't worry or focus so much on the big company. I mean, I'm a great fan of pounding the pavement until you find a 2-person firm or a 17-person firm where you really like the people and where they need some help, and where your general educational background, which a political science degree ought to provide, can really be a good fit.
So general educational background and lots of pairs of very comfortable shoes.
Yeah, and
paraphrased
don't
advice
just look
from
for that
Tom
big
Peters.
company.
Thank
Don't
you.
just look for that big company.
Great. Thank you very much for talking to us today. We will take a break, and when we come back, I want Debbie to respond to Brian from Ohio, who says, unfortunately, instead of asking ourselves, if we want to do this job, we have to ask, can we afford not to take this job? Debbie, I want to talk to you about daycare right after this. Thanks, Tom.
Hi, I'm Erica Seelinger with MCI. You know, 12 years ago, the cost of an average long-distance call was over $5. Today, that call is only $2.70. Now, what could have caused those rates to drop?
MCI. We helped open telecommunications to free enterprise, helped America save billions of dollars.
And now we're introducing our greatest savings program ever.
Join and save 40% to every MCI customer you choose.
Give us a call and start saving 40% today.
American invites you to fly away to the pure tranquility of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Our affordable flyaway vacation packages bring you everything that makes these islands so special. So what are you waiting for? Come fly away to someplace special with American Airlines.
Something special.
Oh, yes.
In the air.
Okay, if the moon was really made out of cheese, I'd be an astronaut. Healthy Choice makes real cheese with skim milk, so it's naturally fat-free. I love their shredded cheddar. I put it on practically everything. I put it in taco salads, I put it on nachos, I put it in my famous tortilla torpedoes. Cheese is the center of my food universe. I even put cheese on my cheese. Oh, Healthy Choice cream cheese makes this killer cheesecake. Without cheese, I am nothing. With Healthy Choice, I eat what I like.
Cheese.
Before O.J. Simpson, Jean Harris was at the center of her own high-profile murder trial. Meet the woman convicted of killing the Scarsdale diet author on Larry King Live tonight, 9 Eastern on CNN.
We are talking about the American workforce. Are we overworked? How can we be happier, healthier, happier employees? Answers to those questions and lots more coming up right after this.
I got my pager at InTouch Paging.
InTouch Paging made paging affordable.
They're very friendly. The service is great. I recommended InTouch Paging to several of my friends, and several of my friends now have it.
The prices are very competitive. $10 airtime per month and $29 to own the beeper.
InTouch Paging. Get a brand new Motorola Bravo Plus pager for only $29.95 and just $10 a month. This is an exclusive offer. InTouch Paging. Call 739-2200 today.
Introducing a new level of elegance. From Raymond Weil, the Parsifal Collection. Swiss handcrafted, water resistant, unique expansion clasp, solid 18-karat gold and stainless steel. At last, a timepiece whose style matches your own. The Parsifal Collection from Raymond Weil. Available at fine jewelers.
This is CNN.
I'm Terry Keenan at the CNN Business News Desk in New York. A sobering thought on this Labor Day: a bachelor's degree is no longer a guaranteed ticket to a better life. A new study by the Economic Policy Institute says hourly wages for college-educated men are losing ground to inflation, real wages dropping for men by 3% since 1989. Their female counterparts, though, have gained ground, but wages still lag the men's. President Clinton marked this Labor Day with a visit to the Bath Iron Works, citing the company as a symbol of worker management cooperation. He also, though, made a plea to baseball owners and players to cooperate in the spirit of Labor Day. And finally, Washington real estate mogul Herbert Haft is out of a job. The board of his company, Combined Properties, ousted Haft as chairman, handing the reins to his youngest son, Ronald. Just last year, the senior Haft gave Ronald his seat on the board, ousting his other son, Robert. And that's the latest in business news. I'm Terry Keenan in New York. Now let's return to TalkBack Live.
I want to bring you back in. Earlier, the fax message that we got was, you know, sometimes you just have to take the job. It's not like you have a whole lot of options, but then sometimes, especially if you're a working parent, it ends up costing you money to take that job.
Susan, I'm a prime example of the whole dilemma, which is why I chose to do the radio show in the first place, because at the time of my life, here I am, an intelligent, somewhat intelligent woman, or so I thought, you know, a fine education, good upbringing, and I found myself flat out of work, unable to make any money. Everything I tried to do, I was overqualified, underqualified, wrong timing, and, you know, it was very frustrating. And I also had a daughter. I became separated from my husband. I moved back with my mother. And found that most of what I was doing was trying to make enough money to pay the babysitter, to make enough money to pay the babysitter, to make enough money to pay the babysitter. And at a time in my life, I had no choice but to take a job which was way below my standards of what I thought I was capable of doing. I never would have in my life except out of necessity. And I was in a men's clothing store. Totally a fish out of water, and to amuse myself, I would pull people off the street in New York and go, "What a disgusting tie! Come on in, get it." And the whole idea of using a sense of humor, really, it's a rotten tie. I would drag people in and sell them a tie just to make the day go by. And
you know, that's exactly what Tom Peters was saying earlier.
What, that you have to use your sense of humor?
Yeah.
It's very important. And I think that's really the solution for most of America's working public, and particularly parents, which is the group I represent. I'm the champion of the cause of busy women and men around the country trying to do it all in a time when things are very different than the way they used to be. And the bottom line is attitude and keeping your spirits up and trying to find the fun within the rest of the framework of your life, because there isn't a lot of time for fun on its own anymore.
Right. Christy, do you have children?
I have one, 19 months.
Are you working?
Full-time.
So you've got 2 full-time jobs, right?
Yes, I do.
Anything you want to ask Debbie?
It's just hard to balance it. You know, I enjoy my career, and I enjoy my time with my son, and I have to work. We're definitely a 2-income family. What I'd like to know is how you can try to do what you want to do in your career, but still make enough time for your children. It's hard, very hard.
Well, I think part of what it all is figuring out what's important to you. And again, we have to use short pieces of time. There's not like a whole week to do this anymore. And I have many, many people on the show who are experts. I'm the only expert in my life, which is probably a lot like your life, which is trying to do everything. And I spin around all day long doing everything, and then I tip at the end of the day. So it's somewhere in that day, that child, who is your priority, hopefully, if you're a good parent, needs you. And if it means that when you get home at the end of the day, you can't sit down because they want to play with you, then okay, use that time and play, and forget about eating dinner on time, and forget about cleaning the floor, and forget about who you had to go see, and maybe you don't want to pick up the clothes of the cleaner today, you'll pick them up tomorrow. So you have to take the pressure off yourself, the pressure you put on yourself. Initially, it was you who did it, and, you know, kind of move things around.
Our next guest has a lot to say about putting pressure on yourselves, and I also want to find out his comments, because Christy just said we're definitely a 2-income family. We need the 2 incomes, and Corinna said, wait a minute, you wouldn't need the 2 incomes if you scale back your expectations. So how do you figure out your expectations? Our next guest is one of the best known and most sought after motivational speakers in the United States, or really the world. Zig Zigler is the chairman of his own corporation. He gives talks all over the country about self-help, personal management, time management, improvement, self-esteem, all of this stuff. His newest book is called Over the Top, and it gives some really great pointers on how to be successful in the workplace. Thank you so much for joining us. And I've got to tell you, when I read that book, yes, you were talking about the workplace, but you were also talking about how to be successful in your own personal life and how do you balance these things. So what do you have to say to Christy and Corinna, who Christy says we both have to work, and Corinna, who's from England, right? From England, says, wait a minute, we don't have dishwashers there, so we don't have to spend money on dishwashers. Talk about balance and how do you achieve it?
Susan, a couple of things. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. Second, let me tell you that I am an incurable optimist. You know, I'm the kind of guy that take his last $2 and buy a money belt, so that's my nature. Third, I
don't know, that might be a pessimist.
Third, I'm solution conscious, not problem conscious. I love what the dear lady from England said because in that book, Over the Top, I talk about the fact that legal immigrants are 4 times as likely to become millionaires in America as are those who are born here. And that's regardless of where those immigrants come from. The reason is immigrants have what I call the gosh attitude. A 4-year-old child got aboard an airplane where I was a passenger, took one look at the mammoth structure and all the electronic gear and the length of the fuselage and said, gosh. Now that's what immigrants say when they come to America. So that attitude that was mentioned is critically important. Number 2, I believe this, that in order to put it in balance, we need to do a list of priorities. For example, Susan, I'll make a lot to do with the fact that people get infinitely more done on the day before vacation than they do in a normal work day. And the reason they do is the night before the day before, they get out a list and say, tomorrow I got to do this and this and this. Now that's goal setting. Second, they say it's my responsibility to get it done because if I don't, then somebody else will have to do it. So they make the commitment to do it. This indicates sensitivity to the needs of others in the workplace, and all of those things endear them not only to their employer, which gives more job security, but to their fellow employees.
So how do you get that day before the vacation mentality all the time? Debbie, this is what you were talking about before. We want to thank you very much for joining us. Debbie Nigro, Mom on the Run. We know you're on the run. We appreciate you being in here on Labor Day.
Appreciate it.
More with Zig Zigler right after this.
Where you park your car, never park it without the Club anti-theft device. The Club, police recommended to keep your car safe from thieves. Available at better stores everywhere.
Crime is rampant in America. A car is stolen every 20 seconds. Police need your help. I'm Deputy Flack, and please, wherever you park your car, lock the Club on the steering wheel to prevent your car from being stolen. The Club is a tempered steel lock that's tough to defeat. Its high visibility deters thieves and makes them move to an easier target. The Club is the best auto theft deterrent I've seen, and I recommend you use it. Accept no cheap imitations. Always ask for the Club by name. And let's put auto thieves in their place.
If it affects your life, it's in USA Today, the nation's newspaper.
It's the hottest ticket in Washington since Ike met Nixon. Fans are lining up to watch CNN's fabulous trio debate for the first time in front of a live audience. A special week of Crossfire begins Monday, 7:30 Eastern on CNN.
These days, there's not much job security anymore, so I think most people are satisfied with the jobs that they have. They're thankful for the jobs they have.
Money can't buy happiness. I think you need time away from work to enjoy life, and I don't think money can buy that for you. I don't think anyone ever went to their deathbed saying they wish they'd spent more time at work.
Corinna, as you know, we are on CompuServe, and we have Stephen Rushton, who is in the forum, and he has something that he wants to say to you. He says the amount of time most of us spend working makes a dishwasher a necessity. So you want to tell Stephen something?
Again, it just comes down to your standard of living, Stephen. Maybe everything that you eat, if you cut back on cooking time and ate more raw food, you wouldn't need the dishwasher. There's always a solution for everything. There is. There's always a solution.
Zig Zigler, I bet you and Corinna would have a great time together. She sounds like you're a kind of positive thinking person.
No question about it. I relate to her completely. You know, Susan, you were asking just before the break, how do you maintain the day before vacation attitude? You start by understanding that what you do off the job determines how far you go on the job. Now, every athlete understands that, every entertainer understands that, every singer, and all those people understand that. So the night before the day before vacation, you know, you plan the next day. Then you get there the next day, there's no hesitation. And incidentally, you probably get there early, a few minutes at any rate. The boss likes that. You immediately get started. You're a self-starter. You attack the job with enthusiasm. Momentum begins to build. Your confidence grows. Your creativity grows. Bottom line is you produce considerably more. Now, you talked about...
Let me interject this. Let me kind of play devil's advocate by way of Edward from Tennessee. He says, American businesses just don't care about their workers. All they care about is how much money they have at the end of the month. Emphasis mine. Willard from Atlanta, do you agree with Edward from Tennessee that American businesses don't care about their workers?
Yes.
Tell me why. What's your particular situation?
Well, we're thinking more about the big bonuses, you know.
Bill, do you want to explain why? Who are you all with?
We're with Pony Express. We're with the Teamsters, and we're on strike right now.
So that's why you're able to be here instead of working this Labor Day, right?
Right.
Okay. Zig Zigler, what advice do you have for Bill, Willard, Reuben, William, Doug? What do you have advice for them? I mean, they're on strike because their bosses are not doing what they say they need them to do.
Okay, number one, let me point out that in the last month, actually, Fortune magazine has run a couple articles on the fact that a lot of the companies are recognizing now that some of those incomes are out of balance. Number two, that in over 60% of the cases, downsizing has either been negative or has not really increased the productivity. As a matter of fact, it increased fear and tension. But now these gentlemen have got a choice. They can either respond to the situation or react to it. One's positive, one's negative. Here's what I mean. You get sick, go to the doctor gives you a prescription. Next day you go in and the doctor says, hey, it's not working, your body's reacting to the medicine. But if the doctor says, hey, you're looking good, your body's responding. So respond is positive, react is negative. What am I talking about? They can get angry, they can stomp their feet, they can get all upset, or they can look at the situation and say, what can I do about this?
You know, that's what Mike from California did. He says he faxed us this message, and he faxed these words. 5 years ago, I was working for an unappreciative boss and hated my job and my career. Now I work for myself as a graphic designer, art director, and I love what I do. That was advice that Tom Peters gave to Lisa from San Francisco earlier. Love what you do. That's also your advice, Zig Zigler, right?
Pretty much, but let me add this to that, Susan. If preparing for your day on the job works so well, doesn't it make just as much sense that if these people whose lives are out of balance would take a little time and plan their family time, planned their recreation time, planned their exercise time, that they would bring their life more in balance. I've read an average of 3 hours a day for the last 22 years, and in my reading and research over and over, it shows that the people who live balanced lives are more productive on the job. Matter of fact, the January 8th, 1990 issue of USA Today said the #1 cause of a productivity decline in America today is marital difficulty at home. Now, what causes that? Stress, but lack of planning is the major thing. They don't plan that time together. You know, the typical
Or maybe they don't want to spend that time together. I mean, that's a sure sign of a divorce in the making.
Yes.
Zig, I want to bring Marcia into this.
Okay.
Marcia, how much do you think about work when you're away from work?
I think about it a lot. I'm a waitress and I'm also a trainer where I actually teach people to wait tables. And it's one of those things where the bosses are always on us to sell more. It's always where a restaurant where it's fast-paced, come in, serve the customers. And at the end of a night, when you've been on your feet, you're constantly, on the go, on the ball. I come home and it's hard to not think about it. I mean, it's hard.
Do you ever dream about it?
Oh, yes, I dream about it. I mean, it's often where I'll come home at the end of a night and I'll finally wind down and relax. And I'll actually have nightmares about, waiting on the entire restaurant, or I forgot someone's salad, or, I forgot someone's dessert, and oh no, what's going to happen to me now? And it's because of the pressure that's actually instilled upon us from our management. And
Zig Zigler, I want you to talk about coping with pressure from management. We've also got a call from Texas. We're going to take a break. Both of those right after this.
Morning, Marta. You see these people? They work for Gramercy Press, and their lives are about to change utterly. How? I can't talk about it on the elevator.
Say goodnight, for the light of the daytime is gone. The moon may be bright while you slumber through the night. You can hear low but clear.
Presenting World Business Class from the Global Alliance of KLM and Northwest Airlines.
Is your credit report holding you back from refinancing your home? Hi, I'm Jim Palmer. Well, if it is, call the Money Store. At the Money Store, they'll treat you like an individual and look at your total credit history, not just today's credit report. You can apply entirely by phone at the Money Store, and there's never an application fee. So don't let your credit report stop you from refinancing your first mortgage. Call 1-800-LOAN-YES, the Money Store, where America goes for money.
It's a kick. You got your vitamin A, your vitamin C. I like it because it has those beta-carotenes in it.
What's that word? Beta-carotenes. It's zippy kind of thing, a zippy thing.
When I bite into a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation of catching an icy cold wave. Woo! It's a big one. I'm hanging ten. I'm shooting a curl. Woo!
York peppermint patty. Get the sensation.
It's an ordinary day at Gramercy Press. Books are getting edited, covers being approved, clandestine romances are clandestine, but the ordinary days are about to end. Why? Gramercy Press.
Thanks for your comment, Gordon. We've got a caller from Texas who wants to join the conversation. Caller, hi, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment in that experience, diligence, and training no longer makes a difference as to whether you get ahead or not. Unfortunately, today's workforce, the majority of the people that going to work are 25 or younger, and they don't know how to work. What they do is they go to work to socialize, plan their social life, and they're the ones that get ahead because they're the ones that socialize with the management after hours.
Caller, what's your name?
My name is Elvira.
Elvira?
Uh-huh.
Stay on the line. Chris started, shaking his head. Chris, how old are you?
23.
Okay, so do you know how to work?
I like to think so.
What do you have to say to Elvira, who said you don't?
Well, I guess I do a little socializing at work, maybe more than I should, but I do work. I get my work done.
Doesn't that happen at any age, Elvira?
Well,
I mean, I haven't noticed, the
well, it could
water cooler saying no one over 30.
Well, there are people over 30 who usually the ones that are over 30 are already settled in their jobs. They're already have management jobs. And if you're the type of person that doesn't work full-time all the time and you're having to compete with the younger people, it just it's miserable for you.
Okay, Zig Zigler, what about that? That is a very valid point, the issue of young versus old. And a lot of people, especially white male middle managers, are really feeling a crunch out there.
Susan, I respect the individual's right to their own opinion, but as a friend of mine used to say, nobody's entitled to the wrong facts. Now, the facts are very, very clear. That the individual who is productive, who does get along with their fellow workers, is the one who is going to get ahead. And the reason is very simple. It boils down to bottom line. See, it's a contradiction in term at one time to say they demand you work more, and then to turn around and say what they want you to do is socialize. That just doesn't compute anywhere. A major labor leader early in this century made the observation that a business's #1 responsibility is to make a profit, to preserve the jobs of those who are around them. Now, let me tell you what management does lack, and particularly as you get to the upper levels. The Center for Creative Research in Greensboro, North Carolina, said the only thing, the major thing that keeps people from the very top rung are if they are deceitful in their activities, if they betray confidences. In other words, if they're lacking in integrity. That's what keeps them from moving to the top level. Now, how do you move up to the rungs underneath that? It is to be productive. It is to be an impact worker, as you are the day before you go on vacation. It is to fit in with the scheme so that you are part of the total picture instead of just as an individual. I wish our time permitted me to deal with it at greater length. Fortunately, I do that in my new book, and it is a very important subject. What I'm saying is we're not victims. There's something we individually can do if we have the right attitude, organize our efforts, and really give it our best shot.
Proactive versus reactive. How do you want to live your life? We'll take a break. More right after this. What you want to say?
Morning, Marta. You see these people? They work for Gramercy Press, and their lives are about to change utterly. How? I can't talk about it on the elevator.
What did you eat this Labor Day weekend?
Oh, a primo pizza Friday night. A couple of donuts, Happy Hero sandwich, barbecue ribs. Do we notice a trend here? Some chocolate cheesecake Saturday night. Well, aren't I the little piggy?
If you labored over food a little too much this Labor Day weekend, start fresh tomorrow with Kellogg's Special K cereal. Just 110 calories, not a speck of fat, yet those lightly toasted Special K flakes are so delicious, your taste buds will continue to indulge. Start taking off what you took on this Labor Day weekend. Make tomorrow Special K Day.
This can't be the right price.
Some people are discovering something highly irregular about the price of Metamucil. Same effective natural fiber for regularity at a surprisingly lower price.
I'm getting the big size.
Metamucil, the natural choice for regularity.
Smart people go to the Labor Day sale at Sears and save. Take this 4-cycle Whirlpool washer and matching dryer. Your choice, $219 each. So who's smarter? She went to Sears. He won the Nobel Prize. It's too close to call.
It's an ordinary day at Gramercy Press. Books are getting edited, covers being approved, clandestine romances are clandestine, but the ordinary days are about to end. Why? Gramercy Press.
So, what do you think?
About what?
About me.
God, you really like to come right to the point, don't you?
TBS Date Night Fridays, Chapter 2 and the Way We Were, beginning at 8:05 Eastern, Friday on TBS.
Zig Zigler joins us. We have time for a final call from Georgia. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Susan, this is a fantastic program. I really love what the program is fantastic. The key is loving what you do.
That's not my brother. He's in New Mexico.
The key. Love what you do. If you love what you do, you'll do a great job. And that's it. I write a political newsletter, and I can't wait to get to work every morning. And I love Zig Ziglar's new book, Over the Top. It's fantastic. I'm Joe McCutcheon up, Melody J. Zig. You're great.
Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate
You're
the plug.
fantastic.
And you know what, Zig? He brings up what Lisa, the advice that Lisa got at the very beginning of the show. What was that? Do what you want to do.
Do what I want to do and love what I do.
Okay, you're unemployed right now.
And I'm reading Zig Ziglar. Closing the Sale, though. I like it a lot.
Great.
Every night before I go to bed, I'm reading it.
All right. Zig Ziglar, how does that make you feel? Your books are out there changing lives.
It makes me feel tremendously well. And let me kind of, as a last thought, put this in. Encourage everybody, and this is what I do, to understand that failure is an event. It is not a person. Yesterday really did end last night. Today's a brand new day. Make it a good one with the right attitude.
That is a great way to end this show. Thank you very much. And Corinna, lots of people are talking to you, okay? Stephen has a comment for your comment about the dishwasher. He says, all right, I made it on TV. Good thing I'm taping it. Thank you, all of you, for spending your Labor Day here with us. Steve, I know that you're in school, so we're going to ask you about the next topic because you're not coping with work just yet. But do you feel ready for it after hearing all these positive comments?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Steve. And thanks to you, we will see you again at our regular time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific. Thank you, Zig Ziglar, for your encouraging comments. Stand by tomorrow to talk back.
Hello, I'm Natalie Allen. Just ahead on Newsday, an update on a cross-country crime spree. 2 young men are believed to be working their way west, stealing cars, killing the owners. We'll get an update on the FBI's nationwide search. Also ahead, one woman's 10,000-foot fall with a faulty parachute. We'll tell you how that one turned out. Flip Spiceland has your weather. Join Lou Waters and me next for Newsday.
Weeknights, Pat, Michael, and John will shake things up in Washington, and America will thank them. Crossfire, 7:30 Eastern on CNN.